Do you need to buy a used tractor? Hey, I'm Mark Hall with Alabama Cooperative Extension System. A lot of people are just getting started, maybe getting started as an organic farmer, or you've got land that you need to keep bush hogged and you're paying somebody to bush hog and you wonder, would it be cheaper to buy a tractor and a bush hog? We're going to talk with Wayne Green, who's a farmer in Lauderdale County, and he's bought and sold equipment over the years, and he's going to tell us about buying a low-cost tractor. We're not talking about a gently used tractor. We're talking about a tractor, a low-dollar tractor, to get started tractor, just maybe a limited use tractor. Wayne, tell us about buying a tractor. What do you need to think about? What do you need to look for in buying a used tractor?
You know, I have farmers that has 5 acres and some has 10 and some of them has 100 acres. What size tractor that they need, what horsepower, what's the most economical for them, and so I try to help them with that. This is a 3000 Ford tractor, which I'd recommend for somebody who had 5 or 10 acres, maybe, you know, to do a little tillage work, or maybe bush hogging or stuff like that with. It's a real nice tractor. What I usually look at when I buy a tractor, I usually want to check the engine oil in it and see if the engine oil is good and clean in it. And then I try to check the tires and make sure the tires are very expensive now, and see if the tires are good on it. Then I try to check the steering on it, make sure the steering is tight on it. Check your hydraulic lift. I try to see if it'll raise up and how fast it'll come up, and check the PTO, which is the power takeoff that turns a bush hog, if you're going to do any bush hogging with it.
What is clean oil in a tractor?
This is the oil in this tractor. If you'll notice here in the sun, see how bright this oil is, how pretty and bright it is. Put it on your finger, it's got a pretty bright color. So that tells me the oil in this engine, you know, is real clean.
Yeah.
And you can also tell by oil, if you see a lot of flakes in it, a lot of real shiny stuff like glitter, that means you've got an engine problem.
Yeah.
If it's real black and dark, the tractor has not been taken care of, you know. And you can always hold it out in the sun, you know, and that all that light will show you what condition your oil is in.
Would there be anything else in the oil that you'd look for, water, or is anything like that an issue?
Usually if it's got water in your oil, it's going to have a creamy, milky type color. So I would look for that too. If it's got a creamy, milky color, it's got water in it.
Okay.
If you see something green on the ground, it's leaking antifreeze. And that can be very expensive if you've got a radiator problem. And you know, your engine, most time if you see oil dripping, you got a problem. Most older tractors, 20 to 25 years old, you're gonna have some oil seepage. I mean, you're gonna see a few light spots of oil. As long as it's just not dripping at a steady pace, you know, it's not gonna hurt anything.
And come up here and tell us a little bit about tires and what you look for on tires.
Yes, the tires on this tractor, they're worn down. They're probably about 30%, and they've got a few dry cracks in them and things. But on a small tractor like this, it's not a lot of weight. So most of the time this tire would probably last 4 or 5 years anyway. So I wouldn't, on a small tractor, tires is probably not as important as they are on a bigger tractor with a lot of weight to them.
When is it too much play in your steering?
Well, when you can always turn your steering wheel, and before your wheels start moving, I mean, you look at your 2 front wheels, and before they start moving, see how much, if you turn your steering wheel like 3 to 4 inches before your wheels move, you know, you got a lot of wear in your front end. So that's going to have to be fixed. This tractor, somebody has added the power steering to it. And I would recommend, if you're buying a used tractor, power steering is real good on one. I mean, you can make it without it, but it makes it a lot easier, you know, to maneuver around with power steering.
4-wheel drive versus 2-wheel drive, is that an issue?
I would recommend, you know, for most 5 to 10 acre farmers, I would recommend just a 2-wheel drive, unless you got a front end loader on it. Then the 4-wheel drive does a lot better with the front end loader.
the hydraulics, would all tractors, even a 35 horsepower tractor now, would have hydraulics?
The majority of tractors do have hydraulics now. You hardly ever see a tractor now without hydraulic system on it.
How do you check? What would a first-time buyer? How would they check to see if your hydraulics are good? Would you look for a leak or the lift, or talk to me a little bit about
Yes,
that?
I mean you can always let your tractor set and set when your tractor's running and see if it's any oil leaking out from under it, hydraulic oil, and also your lift when you pull your lever up for your lift to go up. I mean the lift should go up pretty fast. If it goes up real slow, more likely you got problems. This is the lift system on this tractor, which you would use on a bush hog. See how fast this lift goes up on this tractor? It only takes like 10 to 15 seconds. That tells me the hydraulics are in real good condition on this tractor. If you pull this lever and it takes like a minute for it to go up, you got hydraulic problems, which can be very expensive.
Okay. Talk to me about the PTO.
Yes, checking your PTO on the tractor. You need to when you put your lever into PTO, you need to make sure the PTO starts turning immediately. If it don't, you probably got a problem. Or if the PTO will not shut off when you put the lever in the off position, you've got a problem. So either one of those, tells you got a problem with your PTO. If it comes on real fast and it stops good, you're good. This is a 540 shaft. The 540 shaft has 6 splines around it like this. It'll be 6 of them. Your 1000 RPM shaft has 21 splines. So that's the way you can tell the difference between a 540 and a 1000 RPM shaft is the splines on the shaft. One has 6, the other one has 21. If you're buying a tractor and you have a cutter with a 540 shaft, PTO shaft in your bush hog or bush hog cutter, and you buy a tractor with a 1000 RPM shaft, that cutter will not work on this tractor. You will either have to buy another cutter or buy another tractor, and vice versa. So you need to, when you're buying a tractor, you need to buy something, that matches your cutter, or buy a cutter that matches your tractor.
What size bush hog would that pull?
I would recommend a 5 foot for
5 foot.
this particular. It's about a 35 or 6 horsepower tractor. A 5 foot bush hog or cutter does real good on this tractor.
At what point, acres wise, would most people need to step up and get a bigger tractor, a bigger bush hog?
Well, I think if you get up into maybe 20 or 25 or 30 acres, I would look at going like a 50 horsepower tractor and maybe getting a 6 foot cutter. And if you got, 30 or 40 acres, I would probably try to go to a 50 or 60 horsepower tractor and get a 7 or 8 foot cutter. So it's just according to how much time you want to spend out there using a cutter.
Now this would be like if somebody had 100 acres and needed to keep bush hog.
Yes.
This would be a pretty good tractor.
It would.
What would you look for on a bigger tractor that you wouldn't? What would be the issues specific to a higher horsepower tractor?
Basically, the same thing applies to a big tractor as it does a small tractor. You look under it for oil leaks, and of course this tractor, it has air on it, and I would always get in there and make sure the air conditioner works properly on it. This tractor here, it comes with 2 PTO shafts in it, so you can use 2 different implements on it. This is a 1000 RPM shaft, which is a 21 spline. This is a 540 shaft, which is a 6 spline, which gives you an option over the other tractor. You can use either one on it, so you don't have to worry about it. This tractor has got dual hydraulic valves. Like you can put a front end loader on this tractor, and you already got your valve set up on it. like pulling a big hay roller. Most people's got a 15-foot batwing cutter that they use with this type tractor. It's a real good bush hog tractor. It keeps you clean inside. You don't have to worry about eating dust all day long, and it's also cool. In today's market, you can spend from a range of maybe $3,500 to $10,000 on a good used tractor. It's really according on if you want a tractor like this 3000, or you want a cab tractor with air on it. You can. It's a variety of tractors out there in this range. And I tell people all the time, you buy a good used tractor, 10 years from now, it'll make you money, because they go up every year, because the new ones go up every year. So they won't lose any money. You can always turn around and resell it if you'll just take care of it.
Wayne, thank you so much for that good advice, and hopefully that'll help you in deciding whether you want to buy a used tractor or how to buy a good used tractor.